Nhexus, level 31 upgrade. Today I'm going to be installing Integy's aluminum upper deck. This of course was donated to me by Coyote0976. Thanks a ton, man. Now guys, I have this installed on my Rustler and I think it looks really good, so I'm very eager to get this upgrade installed. Let's go and open it up and check it out. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut the bag open and pull it right on out. As you can see, here are the posts for the steering bell cranks. They do give you some screws. And yes guys, just in case you're wondering, every screw that's going into this, including the ones that hold in the servo as well as the post, you do need to use some thread locker on it. So let's go ahead and put this thing together and get it installed. Alright guys, as you can see, I went ahead and put some thread locker into each one of the holes the screw is going to be going into. I find it easier than just putting it on the screw. It really doesn't matter which way you do this. But yes, for the post to be installed, you just have to line it up with these two holes, just like that, and a screw goes in through the top to hold it in place. With the post attached, now I can now go ahead and install this upper deck. So in order for me to remove the old upper deck, I'm going to have to remove 4 screws, 2 in the back and 2 up front. After that, I need to go ahead and remove this little nut that holds on the turnbuckle to the steering block. I'm going to have to do that for each side. Now I can go ahead and pop off the turnbuckles and then pull off the upper deck. Now the upper deck servo is still going to be held on with this wire, so be careful about that. Next up, I need to go ahead and remove the steering bell cranks. They're held in with 2 screws. I'm also going to go ahead and remove the servo. It's held in with 4 screws. Now I should easily be able to pull out the servo, and as for these long screws, I am not going to be using them. They cannot be used on the aluminum upper deck. But now that you got those out, you can easily just pull out the steering bell cranks. Next up, I need to go ahead and slide these on to the aluminum ones. So the first thing that goes on are these little Teflon washers, and yes, one goes on each post. Once you got those on there, you can go ahead and slide the steering bell cranks into position. Make sure you push them all the way down, and they're held down with the 2 screws that they give you with the Integy deck. Next up, it's time to go ahead and attach the servo. So I'm going to get the cable, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it down like that, line up the servo, and I'm going to attach it using 4 screws, 2 on top and 2 on bottom. Once that's taken care of, all you have to do is slide it back into position, but when you're doing so, be careful. You don't want to pinch the servo wire in between the aluminum upper chassis with the lower chassis. Next up, I need to go ahead and attach the 4 screws that hold it in. And finally, the last step is to go ahead and reattach the turnbuckles to the steering blocks. Now, I didn't mention this before, but it might be easier if you take off the front tires in order to do this. The front tires are only held on with a 4mm nut on the outside. Here's before. And here is after, guys. Check that out. It looks so much better. I absolutely love it. Thank you, Coyote, for this awesome donation, man. And one of these things I have to admit I really like about the Bandit design is that these shock towers, even though they take a lot of abuse when it flips over, it does protect the post that holds on the body clips. So that, I have to say, is at least 1 plus for the Bandit. Same thing goes for the back. And that was a level 31 upgrade for Nhexus.